Yo guys, what's good? As here once again, welcome to a new Exos Heroes video. Since the Dragon Emperor's Knight FC for Magi has been released, let's check out regular Magi and try to see if the FC might be worth your Exos. Let's talk about it. Alright, you might have noticed that I put out a similar video before, because I got some awesome feedback which made me aware that my explanations were lacking and could even be misleading. I decided to completely scrap the video and make a new one. The info in this video should be presented way more comprehensive and in general better for you to consume. Now to her abilities. Her passive is mana utilization 3, meaning she's a little mana battery, more powerful the more mana exists. She will gain 1 mana if the ally's mana is 10 or more. The same applies for enemies and both of them can stack. The more mana you have on your side, the higher her attack increases. This means you want to use your mana wisely to gain the maximum benefit. If all your team is 6-star, you can chunk out some serious damage. Her 2 active abilities are both AoE. Hers 1 dealing 102% damage and hers 2 178%. Hers 2 is also a burst ability, meaning that she requires 3 mana to use it, but if she has more mana available, she will use all of it and increase the damage of this ability. Especially once she is 6-star with 10 mana, this is crazy. Alright, onwards to her stats. Her attack is at 1296, death at 671 and HP over 4200. She also boasts 150 crit hit, which is nice because you want her abilities to hit as hard as possible. Being a fire type, she will gain mana for critical hits from allies or enemies, and since she is an attack type, she gains mana from her basic attacks. Additionally, if she breaks the target, all damage will crit, churning huge numbers. With all that said, I think Magi in itself is a great hero and you shouldn't be upset if you get her. She'll be great in campaign and also help you in the dungeon on fire days, cleaning out trash like a boss. For Dragon's Raid, she can be really great due to her Dragon Knight's blessing, dealing 250% increased damage. She also provides some nice damage reduction of 50% for all allies during the Raging Breath and additional 20% for heroes with Dragon Knight's blessing. Now let's compare her to some other heroes with similar abilities. This all assumes that you have one of the characters I mentioned. Obviously not everybody has the same heroes, so if you don't have the mentioned ones, you can skip it. I marked them out in the timestamps for your convenience. First off is Bernadette with the same base stats and the same passive. The difference between her and Magi, besides the element, lies in Bernadette's S1. It's a single target ability dealing 300% damage. In my opinion, having a single target ability is better for the current PvP meta, but we will get into that later. Back to the element for a second. Bernadette gains mana from allies or enemies blocking, which makes a huge difference depending on your lineup. Also, if Bernadette breaks the target, damage will ignore defense. If that's better or worse than crit depends fully on your target. The higher your target's defense, the better this becomes. Because Bernadette shares the same Head Dragon Knight passive, I feel Magi loses against her in Dragon Raid. The dragon is a single target and can't be broken. Bernadette's 300% on S1 is more useful there. The same goes for Monomos in the Shelter of Avarice. Let's compare her to some more heroes. Next up is Bathory. She has higher base stats and in my opinion the superior passive. Being able to provide the front row with 1 additional mana and preventing death once is simply put incredible. I would trade that every day for the Dragon Knight's blessing, especially since other heroes have it as well. Bathory also has the stronger S2 dealing 357% damage. Again, the element is different, changing mana gains and breaks. Sabrina is not a mage, dealing physical damage and having lower base stats, but for me she falls in the same line as Bernadette. Sabrina is faster and thus has the chance to attack earlier. Single target S1 and her counter ability make her stronger in my opinion, since she will gain mana when the target is at 70% or more HP. I had countless fights where the counter triggered and either broke or killed the opponent, making the rest of the fight easier. I also wanted to talk about some easier to obtain alternatives, namely Annie and Scarlet. Both are legendaries and at 5-star mag they have both similar attack power to Magi. Both of them have mana utilization 2, making it a little bit weaker to Magi's, and they are both strong against fire monomos. Annie's S1 has a multiplier of 81% and Scarlet's clocks in at 142%, however Scarlet's S1 costs 3 mana. Both of them have 285% on their S2s, costing 5 mana, so it really depends how you want to use your Magi. I actually brought Scarlet at 4-star 60 into the Fire Monomo, and she dealt more damage than my Magi at 68. The passive really came through there. With the comparisons out of the way, I think Magi is awesome in a vacuum. On paper she can dish out insane damage and clear out trash like only a few can. However, if you PvP a lot or even do dungeons, other characters might be better suited. At least in PvP, the meta disfavors heavy AoE and usage of Fire Guardian Stones. Wink wink FC Xeon. Even if you get her AoE out, in most cases the Dragon Blood will simply kill her right away. So in this case, I'm sorry Magi. Again, if you pulled her you should make use of her where you can. She is still amazing. I simply wanted to go over her and highlight her strengths and weaknesses before I go to the main topic. And that is, should you pull for FC Magi? While I talk about it, I will play her abilities in the background. The FC provides her the Dragon Blood passive and additional stats, which is amazing in itself. Keep in mind that it's a black FC, so a little bit weaker than the golden one. Let's say you already have 3 Dragon Emperor FCs. Due to the recent changes to the Great One passive, you should 100% pull for her. Having 4 Dragon Emperors FC in your lineup will almost make every PvP match an instant win. If you have only 2 or less, then it gets a little bit more complicated. Dragon Blood becomes more powerful the more you have on your team. The more you can counter with Wrath, the easier fights become. As mentioned before, PvP disfavors AoE and Fire Guardian Stones, so without the other Dragon Blood heroes, her value slowly diminishes. Of course PvP is not the only area in this game, and her FC will make her stronger in PvE as well. However, if you already have the units I mentioned before in the comparison, I don't think she will make or break if you clear PvE content or not. In my opinion, she can easily be skipped in favor of future Dragon Emperor FCs, for example Rera, Baraka or Ramji. I hope this video gave Magi a fair comparison and gives you enough information to decide if you want to pull for her. She's definitely a cute waifu, and if that's enough reason for you, don't let me discourage you. With that, I'm heading out. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe it will help me out a lot. I will see you in the next one, and until then, enjoy the grind.